Hello, welcome to this video presentation recorded specifically for Independent Living Canada video collections. I'm Ella Huang, Executive Director of the Richmond Centre for Disability, located in Richmond, British Columbia. We are an accredited member of the Independent Living Centre network under the national umbrella of IL Canada. The topic for this video is service provision for a diverse community. There are two parts to the presentation. The first part covers diverse community and inclusive services. The second part talks about creating a diverse workplace. These four topics are chosen because inclusion is involvement and empowerment, where the inherent worth and dignity of all people are recognized. An inclusive commodity promotes and sustains a sense of belonging. It values and practices respect for the talents, beliefs, backgrounds, and ways of living of its members. In other words, inclusion is intentional and purposeful. It means more than a superficial appearance. More so, it is a philosophy and a progressive process. Now we are going to talk about diverse community. What is diversity? Diversity is the range of human difference, including but not limited to race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, social class, physical ability or attributes, religious or ethical value system, national origin, and political beliefs. It is easy just to say diverse means different, not the same, showing different characteristics or with variety. The fact is, we are all involved with more than one community or group with similar characteristics. For instance, interest, work, faith-based value, or culture. Based on this, we recognize that diversity means understanding the difference of people, that each person is unique, and follow up with action to recognize the difference. It is more than just understanding we're different. We actually have actions to address that. That means we start with acceptance and follow with validation. Acceptance. Okay, it is easy to understand. The golden rule for acceptance is treat others the way you want to be treated. This is all good. However, there is a platinum rule, which says treat others the way they want to be treated. We frequently forget to ask ourselves, how does this person want to be treated? Not based on my values and culture, but theirs. Or, do I even know their culture and value well enough to know if I'm treating them with respect? These questions, which are the basis of ethical human interaction, are also at the core of providing quality service. Now we come to validation. After we have accepted others, then we want to validate it. It is to communicate our acceptance. Let others know that you understand the difference and acknowledge it. There's no right or wrong with differences. Not mine is right or yours wrong. It focuses on people, not issues. The people first approach, we always say. Now the next slide we're coming to talk about inclusive social services. So what are they? Social inclusion is the process of improving the terms on which individuals and groups take part in society. In the social service sector, we design programs that will improve the ability, opportunity, and dignity for people who are facing discrimination and inequality. Next, we will illustrate more about inclusive services. Now let us talk a little bit about the principle of inclusive services. First thing, hallmark of inclusive services. We talked about it already, the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. The second point, core of successful service delivery, is actually the same as the platinum rule we mentioned earlier. Treat others the way they want to be treated. The third point is no one size fits all. This is indeed the essence of diversity because people are different. Their needs may not be the same. Fourth point, diversity is all around us. Let me reiterate that. The meaning of diversity goes beyond race and ethnicity. So there are a lot of different other groups we are adhere to, we belong to, and they goes beyond race and ethnicity. They are part of daily lives. Now, why do we want to have inclusive services? What are the benefits of inclusive services? As a service provider for people with disabilities, these benefits are critical for the success of the organization and mostly driven by one's mission. The benefits are mostly participant-oriented, centered, or more appropriately, participant-driven. The first thing is accessible services. An organization aims at providing inclusive services, implying that services are accessible to target audience. And if there are barriers to access, accommodation will be presented to remove or reduce barriers. Second thing is supportive strategies. So there is also effective delivery of services to promote success to attain the mission. Third point is to reduce stigma. The services are intended for the greater impact in the community, for greater good. Then is effective use of resources. We also want a good return on investment, despite a business term, but applicable in social service providers to have maximum output as possible. Lastly, higher expectation for all. So it is not just for one individual, one organization, it is for the entire community. And what are the characteristics of inclusive services? Exactly what we are talking about when we say inclusive services. The first thing is it lives its mission and core values. People work for an organization because they believe in its purpose and goals. An organization that promotes one thing and delivers another risks losing the trust and confidence of its workforce as well as its members. Number two, it operates under transparent policy and procedures. There are no hidden rules of behaviors that may be apparent to some groups and unknown to others. It is consistent in its interaction with everyone. There's no double standard. Rules are applied appropriately and regularly throughout the institution. No one group is favored over another. Number three, it accepts diversity and inclusion as a way of life. In an inclusive organization, one sees diversity at every level within the organization. Many cultures, traditions, beliefs, languages, and lifestyles are prevalent in both the workforce as well as the target audience, and are respected without judgment. People are viewed as individuals who have come together to coordinate action towards the achievement of common goals. It recognizes that it is part of the community that it serves. Employees, managers, and customers, participants all come from the community. An inclusive organization is an active participant in community activities and plays a vital role in addressing its needs. Number four, it evaluates individual and group performance on the basis of observable and measurable behaviors and competencies. Employees have a clear understanding of their roles and responsibility. They are evaluated based upon the action, not the opinions of others. Goals and expectations are achievable. Number five, it creates and maintains a learning culture. Career development is encouraged and supported for all employees by management. Mentoring programs are robust and include both formal and informal systems that meet the individual learning needs of all employees. Mistakes are recognized and the consequences addressed. But they are viewed as learning opportunities rather than character flaws. Number 6, it accepts and embraces change. Change is inevitable. An inclusive organization recognizes that current and past practices must constantly be reviewed and updated to meet the changing demands and needs of the industry, workforce, and participants. Now the next slide is on a diverse workplace reflects our community. So the slogan comes, nothing about us without us. It's a slogan used to communicate the idea that no policy should be decided by any representative without the full and direct participation of members of the groups affected by that policy. This involves national, ethnic, disability-based, and other groups that are often thought to be marginalized from political, social, and economic opportunities. A diverse workplace reflects our community. Small organizations may have to think about diversity more broadly and consider their volunteer base, board of directors, and community partners. When addressing workplace diversity, emphasis is often placed on groups of people who, for historical, cultural, and systemic reasons, have been excluded from the workplace or face barriers or discriminations that limit their full participation in the labor market. Nonetheless, diversity initiatives can also include policies, programs, and strategies designed to promote representative diversity within organizations. Then what is the benefit of having diversity in the workplace? The benefits of diversity in the workplace are well documented and shared in the service sector. In the present days, this has become increasingly important in succession planning and employee talent pool. That includes increased adaptability, broader service range, variety of viewpoints, more effective executive. They aim at skill building and development, talent creation and retention, effective operational matrix, and ultimately better performance and higher productivity. The next slide, this one you see, welcome to the jungle of diversity issues. After talking about what inclusive social services are and the reason we want diversity in the workplace, exactly what we are facing here in the jungle of diversity issues. I'm going to share with you 7 biggest diversity issues in the workplace. Number 1, acceptance and respect. We talk about the importance of acceptance and respect of cultural diversity and beliefs among employees earlier. The lack of it may lead to conflicts. A simple solution to this is to provide employees diversity training. Accommodation of beliefs. This mostly arises from a strong sense of right and wrong, or simply me and you. When we talked about validation earlier, we mentioned there's no right or wrong with differences. The solution to this is to keep our ethnic and personal beliefs independent of our work responsibilities and duties. Ethnic and cultural differences. This is similar to the accommodation of beliefs just mentioned. This is a bit more complex because self-identity is involved and prejudice is common. To resolve this, cultural sensitivity training and diversity awareness program may be helpful. They usually focus on raising cultural awareness, focusing on behaviors, making better decisions, improving communication skills, and, important to speak up. Gender equality. Employers can take the lead to prevent gender discrimination and maintain equality in terms of hiring, salary, opportunities, and promotion. Physical and mental disabilities. Purposefully build a workforce that reflects the target population served is a good place to start. Generation gaps. Sometimes employees form social circles based on similarities, such as age group. Employers can encourage an open communication culture to bridge the gaps, may it be age, culture, gender, etc. Language and communication. This is prevalent in immigrant-heavy countries, as in the case of Canada. Sometimes language training for non-native English speakers can prevent miscommunication. Now, this brings us to the end of our presentation, and we want to conclude with nothing about us without us. Thank you for joining me through this presentation on service provision for a diverse community. It is my pleasure to share my thoughts on this important topic. Remember, nothing about us without us, because we are the face of the community.